Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jonathan Federa here. So, I'm going to give you the ultimate guide on how to grow and scale your business using equipment financing. What I want to go over is all the inside tips and tricks that you can do. So, one, you get approved, two, you get the best financing possible, and three, you can predictively grow and scale your business purchasing equipment. A lot of people mess this up. I have one medical manufacturer right now that does $10 million a year in revenue. And because they didn't take or build certain things the right way, they're struggling. So I never want any of our clients to struggle. That's why I decided that, hey, you opted in, this is free. If you decide to work with us, great, we're happy to work with you. If not, you have a ton of resources and you'll still get everything you need to get in order for you to grow and scale your business. However, if you found this valuable and you would like a professional's help that has done this for 15 years, myself and my team are here at your service to help you get the best equipment financing programs possible. All right. So let's go into the first major thing. Know where you stand. Okay. So that means know where your personal credit is, know where your business credit is, how long you've been in business under that entity. Those are all key and crucial pieces. Now, one of the things that you're going to want to know besides where your credit is, both business and personal, and time business, where you're profitable. Now, profit should not come into play unless you're buying something, a piece of equipment that's over $250,000. Okay. However, sometimes it does. So those are the main functions that you need. And obviously, the higher your personal credit, the higher your business credit, and the longer you've been in business, the easier it is to get you approved for the top programs. However, if you don't have a high time in business or you have challenge credit, but you still need equipment, there are solutions out there. Okay, you could lease, there's a bunch of different programs. My point is, know where you stand as you're going through the process. This way, when we're helping you or when we're working together, we can ultimately guide you. You can check your credit on Credit Karma or any of your credit cards. You can check your business credit by going to Dun and Bradstreet, and you would know your time in business, right? Ideally, 2 years plus is great for equipment. Okay, if you're under that, we can, again, there's still options out there. There's startup options. There's a ton of options. But ideally, you want to be in business at least 2 years and you want to build comparable debt. We'll get the comparable debt in a little bit. Next, have everything ready. All right. Why do I say this? Equipment is I don't want to say scarce, but equipment is selling quickly these days. So it's very hard to get certain pieces of equipment, which means you want to have everything ready and done the right way so that when you do need financing for it, we can get it done in under 24 hours, which is very simple to do. All right. So what are some of the things you're going to need? You're going to need a one-page application, 3 months of banks, a driver's license, a voided check, and you may or may not need your most recent business tax return. Now, I can tell you right now, if it's under 100K and you have great credit, okay, and you've been in business 2 years, you have comparable debt, we probably don't need the banks. We probably don't need the tax return. However, to make this smooth and efficient, I'd rather you guys know what you need and have it all available than we have to go through the process and ask, and then it slows it up a day or two. So try to have all that available. A lot of times you won't need all that, but there are some times you will. And you never know what other things that we could find that could help you or your business when you're working with us. So I would just say have those items ready and available. Now, if you're getting a lot of equipment, if it is over, let's say that $250,000 mark, you're probably going to need 2 years of returns and year-to-date financials and a couple other items. Nothing crazy, but enough where, hey, you're going to need those other items. Okay, next, pick the right vendor. The reason I tell you this, and I say this all the time, is there are good vendors and there are bad vendors. There are vendors that know how to work with different lending institutions and vendors that don't. There are vendors that have very good reviews and are very good about getting you the equipment when you need it and how you need it. And there are vendors that are terrible that all they do is go to auction, buy the cheapest crap they can find and sell it to you. And sometimes the titles aren't clear. All right. So make sure you're going and working with a reputable vendor, number one. Number two, when you're at the vendor, okay? When you're at the vendor, if it's titled equipment and you know this is what you're doing, what you should do is you should leave a small deposit, $500, leave a deposit, have it reflected on the invoice, and get a picture of the front and back of title. They will need that prior to issuing an agreement. Okay, any underwriter will need that prior to an agreement. And what I'm trying to do is help you speed up how quickly you get approved, how quickly you get financed, how quickly you get the insurance, basically how quickly you step foot in a vendor's dealership versus how quickly you actually get the equipment at your location. Next, you want to make sure that when you're getting the invoice, you get the right invoice. What does getting the right invoice mean? When you are getting the invoice, you want your business name, you want your bill to address, could be your home address or the office address, and the ship to address is wherever you're keeping the equipment. And that should be on the application. That all should match perfectly. Then you want a very detailed invoice. So year, make, model, mileage, hours, whatever it is, and purchase price. And if you listened and left a deposit, you want that deposit. That will help you greatly. All right. After you have the right invoice and you've left the deposit and you've done all the things that are super important for you to do that we've gone over, okay, then it's time to apply. All right. And you want to ask your accountant beforehand, what type of financing should you do? Should you do a straight equipment finance, which means you're just buying it like you'd purchase any other, like a car? Or do you want to do a lease with $1 buyout? And just so you know, a lease with $1 buyout versus a straight equipment purchase, it'll be the same rate, same term, same everything. The only difference is the lease with $1 buyout, there are certain tax advantages for the first 4 years. If it's a 4-year term, it's a 5-year term. The first 4 years, there's tax advantages. Then that 5th year, you get beat up a little bit on taxes. All right. However, it's more of a write-off the first 4 years. So check with your accountant. Or does he just want you to do a lease? All right. And if you know that going into it, that helps on the back end because then we can get you exactly what you need. And we're happy to go through and review different options and make banks and underwriters compete for your business. That's our job, is to get you the best terms. However, without the knowledge of how to work the system, which is what I'm giving you now, you could make a couple of mistakes and it could cost you some money. So that's why I want to go over it now. All right. So understand what the options are, understand what the numbers are. A couple of things you want to look for. You want to be able to explain how this equipment is going to help your business. How much more revenue are you going to do? What new types of jobs can you do? You want to know, if you're currently renting this piece of equipment, how much it's going to save you in rental fees. Okay. Next, you want to kind of paint a picture of why this is important for your business. Okay. Because that does matter. Next, it's very, very, very important to understand what comparable debt is, how to build it, and how it will ultimately allow you to grow and scale your company. So all comparable debt is showing that you've had similar or like debt on the business entity or on your person. And the way they do that is I believe it's the last 5 years. If you've made 12 monthly payments on any equipment, car, if it's a Bobcat, a skid steer, whatever that equipment is, if you've made 12 monthly payments, counts towards comparable debt. So let's say a year goes by, we get you a skid steer finance for $40,000 or $50,000. And a year goes by, your credit's the same, the revenue is just slightly up, and you've made your 12th payment. Well, now you have that $40,000 of comparable debt. So you should at least be able to qualify, if everything was the same, for twice your comparable debt. Why does this matter? Well, as you're growing your business, if you can forecast what equipment you need and when, you can consistently build your comparable debt to the point where you might not need to even personally guarantee equipment anymore because your company credit is so strong. So if you know you're equipment intensive, maybe you get one piece of equipment every year or every 6 months or every quarter. Because then what you're doing is you're always building that comparable debt. And by you building that comparable debt, it's just going to get easier and easier to get larger pieces of equipment and you'll get better terms. That's why no matter how big or small the equipment is, you should always try to finance it so you can keep building that comparable debt and keep getting better approvals in the future, especially if you're equipment intensive. Next, insurance. After you get the invoice and leave your deposit, it is a very, very good idea to call and see and get insurance quotes. The reason I'm saying this is insurance has been going up, and I've had a few people get an unpleasant surprise when they needed to get insurance for certain vehicles or certain pieces of equipment that we finance. So make sure that's part of your due diligence process. It will help you dramatically. Then the last thing is a credit trick, okay, for personal credit. And then I'll get into a couple things that will help startups and other items, okay? First, if you know you use a lot of credit cards, look at what the statement dates are. Okay, pay them down or off by the statement dates, and then apply, within a couple of days, because then your credit will be updated, your credit will be higher, and you'll get better terms. All right, these are some of the tricks of the trade. Now, if you are under 2 years in business, you're probably going to be looking more for leases. Okay. Or if you're a startup, there are options. Having very, very high credit if you're under 2 years of business is very helpful, and especially if you can show that you own a home. All right. So these are little tricks that you should, if you own a home and you're starting a business and you have 700 credit, yeah, you can get financing. You can definitely get startup financing. Right. Or you can lease, build comparable debt for a year or two, and then go get financing, equipment loan. I hope this helped you. Again, if you want to work with us, great. We'll reach out. We'll do a strategy session, completely complimentary. If this helped you and you don't want to work with us, that's fine too. Okay, maybe you leave us a review or you share some of our content, whatever it may be. But if you need our help and when you need our help, please reach out. We'd love to help you. Thank you, and I hope this guide really changes the game for you.